The true Space Jams are back. Well, sort of. They did chop the top off. Hey, what's going on everybody? My name's Chris. Welcome back to the official WearTesters.com YouTube channel. Today we got a detailed look and review on these bad boys right here. This is the Air Jordan 11 Low in the Space Jam colorway. For those of you curious, this is the box, an original style 11 box. And then inside is the carbon fiber paper, but most importantly is the shoes. I call them the true version of the Space Jam because of one simple thing, which I will talk about in a second. But first, oh no, we don't have a sponsor. Gotcha. The Air Jordan 11 Space Jam has a really, I don't think it's a muddled history, but a lot of people are confused by it. So, way back in 1995, the Air Jordan 11 released. The original mid-tops released in a total of 3 colors, one of which was the black and reds, now known as the Breads, aka the Playoffs. There was also the white-black Concord, also known as the Concords, and then the white and Columbia Blues. And I know that the brand is re-releasing those later on this year. They're named Legend Blues nowadays, but back when they originally released, they were the Columbias. And he wore them for the All-Star game. There were 2 low tops that originally released as well. They were more part of the summer lineup, and it was the Air Jordan 11 Low and the Air Jordan 11 Low IE, both of which were the same exact shoe, just one had a label IE and the other one didn't. Nobody knows why. Although some people speculated international exclusive, but they dropped everywhere. However, there was another. It just didn't release. It was seen or featured in the movie Space Jam, and it was the shoe that they kind of released as the PE. This was back in what, 2016? And that shoe came in like the Bugs Bunny Space Jam kind of box and all that stuff, and instead of all of the blue coloring, it was Concord purple, even though that was a playoff PE that he wore because he kept getting fined for wearing the Concords because they didn't match, at least at the time, uniform regulation requirements. And so they gave him a black version of the Concords and he just wore those during the playoffs that season. But again, that shoe never really released until the year 2000 when the Air Jordan 11 was retroed for the very first time. It was the 2000 and 2001 lineup. They released all the original colorways and they were awesome. People literally went nuts for those things even back then. Now, what made those things the actual Space Jams is that when you go and look at a pair of Air Jordan 11s on the tongue, they have a cool little tongue tag on there. It's got a Jumpman in the middle, and then on each side it says Jumpman Jordan. But not the Space Jams. Those were different. It said Jumpman Jam. Every Space Jam release since that original 2000 launch never featured the Jumpman Jam until now. I'm sure some people are mad that they're lows instead of the mids, but man, who cares? They look good. So the outsole is, god dang it, it's pretty, man. Like, this thing is so awesome. I used to love reading this magazine right here. This is Kicks issue 1 by Slam. And when you pull it open, there was all kinds of cool design and concept sketches for the 11's outsole. Not just the outsole, but you know, the whole shoe. But yeah, this little piece right here, this is where they really like emphasize that they were trying to go for an anatomically accurate outsole so that it didn't prohibit movement. But that's why you see the overall shape right here. Like, this is supposed to be your toes flex zone. So like from here up, that's where your forefoot would flex naturally. This area would be the ball of your foot, your arch obviously, and then your heel. Anyways, on top of all of that is a full-length carbon fiber shank plate. This thing was not just a torsion plate, but it was also meant for a spring plate. So this right here is just really interesting. I've always loved the way that it looks. You can actually feel the ridges and stuff. It's not super smooth like sometimes they have been. The midsole is lightweight Phylon. Inside the midsole is full-length air, and it looks pretty much like this. Not identical. There might be a little bit more of like a bit of a design to the heel portion and things like that instead of this like flat one, but this is the overall gist of things. And despite these being somewhat considered an original colorway, they do not come with polyurethane insoles. They come with Dreamcell insoles, which are a polyurethane base. They're just a lot fluffier. They're cheaper. Now moving on up, the materials are an interesting mix. We have mesh, patent leather, as well as actual leather, except for on this pair. So the patent leather, while on, I think it was the 2016 Space Jams or, you know, playoff, black Concords, whatever you want to call them. I believe they had the white line around the edging of the cut. These do not. On top of that, they're very thin. And on top of that, it's really hard for me to tell if it's actual leather. It looks like there are some leather fibers in there, but I wouldn't be surprised if this was like a mix. You know what I mean? Like not fully like leather and stuff. So another corner kind of cut, which is a bummer. The upper is still the same as what we've been used to. So it's that Cordura mesh or the ballistic style mesh, whatever it is that you want to call them. They have the nylon lace loops. The tongue is nylon as well. And again, the Jumpman Jam tab right there just really sets these things off. I know that some people might be thrown off by that, but trust me, it was on the original version of the shoe. And again, the original version of the shoe released in the year 2000, not 1995. The original version of the Space Jam colorway, not the overall shoe itself. Now the heel does have a sliver flavor of leather, and normally the mid-tops do have a slightly more extended piece, even though not by much, but you know, definitely more than what's on here. That's the panel also that like really doesn't look, I mean, if that's leather, that's the thinnest cut of leather I think I've ever seen, but it does not look like leather. It even has that kind of like weird texture to it. So I wouldn't bet that that's leather. I wouldn't even bet that this is actual leather underneath the patent material. All I'm saying is that it's possible that it could be. So if you're one of them vegan sneakerheads and you don't like animal products on your footwear, you might want to pass on these just in case. And then squished there in the back are the original features, the 23 as well as the Jumpman logo, although they did switch it from the side to the heel just to fit the chop top version of the shoe. Now, as far as sizing is concerned, I personally feel that the new 11 lows fit a little bit long for some reason, so I went down half a size. It fits me perfectly. But if you've been going true to size on the recent releases, then that's exactly what I would recommend. Just go with whatever size you typically wear in Air Jordan 11 lows, not the IEs. I'm talking about this one right here, the one with the patent. And if you're interested in grabbing a pair of these, they will be available in full family sizes at most Jordan brand retailers. If you're here in the Sacramento area, make sure that you hit up Phenom. They're located in the Doco Shopping Center, and they'll let you know on their Instagram page how their release is going to be handled. And with that being said, what is today's question of the day?
What would be your 4 picks for the sneaker Mount Rushmore?
And what is this based off of? Like just shoes that I personally find to be iconic, or shoes that literally change the game?
Which way would you like to take the question?
I'd like to do personal, please, for 300.
I guess you could do both, technically. Like you could do like, this is my top 4 personally, but these are the ones that really brought us from the beginning.
Yeah, you can't leave off the Chuck Taylor. It's the sneaker that was the sneaker.
It's George Washington.
That's what I'm saying. Like, unless you want to kind of coincide that and PF Flyers, but I always forget which one comes first.
Okay.
But either way, they're very derivative of one another. The Adidas Superstar, aka the Shell Toe, would be the next one. That was the one that introduced Wavebone, and that later, you know, was adopted as Herringbone. So one of the greatest traction setups ever.
Would you say that's Thomas Jefferson?
Sure. And then the next one, see, this is hard because then it's like what you jump from canvas to leather to like where do you go from there? You know what I'm saying?
First real cushion.
Okay, so as far as tech advancements go, the Shack Attack.
This is your Abe Lincoln?
Sure. It's just in order. They don't have to be attached to a guy. That one had the graphite plate, which later would be, you know, carbon fiber and stuff like that. So without that, a lot of these shoes, like carbon fiber, MJ specifically points out as like, yeah, without that, I wouldn't have had the career, like the length of career that he had, because his knees would have been shot.
Well then, if you're gonna say that, then I would say your Teddy Roosevelt would be the Jordan 1.
Why?
Just because, like, that's the most, no, not so much that, but like, that's like the shoe that is part of basketball really exploding. Wouldn't you say?
I don't know, because then you gotta count the Air Force One.
So take off the Jordan 1.
This is what I'm talking about. Okay, this is what I'm talking about. You can't do this to me on the spot. All right, there's too much to list. It's like that basketball question that you asked me the other day. Oh, you guys didn't even see that video. I kind of nixed that one, but it was a great question. The Air Force One is the first one with full-length air, or just the first basketball shoe with air. It's an Uptown special. It's an NYC staple.
It's the grandpa to Jordan 1.
The Jordan 1, you know what I'm saying? Like that's what I'm, like you can't leave that off, but tech advancements, you gotta have the carbon fiber plate. That was a huge moment.
I like how if we like taking the personal out,
right,
taking the fan favorite out, you have literally put 4 different brands up on this Mount Rushmore.
But that's what I'm saying. Competition is necessary. Without Converse, there would be no whatever. You know what I mean? Like it is what it is. Like without Reebok, you wouldn't have the 90s explosion of basketballs and high tops, or basketball shoes and high tops. You wouldn't have the great competition to pump it up and air it out, or Air Jordan. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's just, there's so much stuff, although that would kind of be considered as marketing, but like that's another facet of the business, which is like marketing sells product. You know what I mean? So like it's cool to be into shoes, in my opinion, the way that I'm into shoes, because it's not just the Travis Scott or whatever's hot or whatever I could flip. People bought this stuff originally because this is performance gear. There's so many layers and it's nuanced. There's so much stuff, because I didn't even get into the change of the foams. EVA, huge upgrade from polyurethane. So and that changed, and that was with technically the shoe before this, but this was the shoe that had EVA, full-length air, and the plate. This in '95 was quite literally the most advanced product on the shelf compared to any other product there. And I'm not saying that as a Jordan stan. I'm saying that as a fact.
I just feel like the shoes you put on this Mount Rushmore are...
Cannot be left out of sneaker history. Actually, speaking of which, you should go buy Russ Bankston's book. It's all about this, where it's not the Mount Rushmore because there needs to be more than 4, but the sneakers or the basketball sneakers that really changed just everything as far as like footwear culture is concerned. It's a great book.
Well,
and it starts with the Chuck Taylor.
Is that these 4 shoes, like, yes, there is bigger and greater and better, and that's what advancement's all about, but like without these 4 shoes, those were those starting blocks.
Yeah, without MySpace, there'd be no Facebook. Without Professor K, there would be no WearTesters. Like, there's all kinds of like dots being connected. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, you cannot ignore history for your own purpose. Those are just the few that come off the top of my head, but I could sit here and talk about this all day. So I dare you, try, not based off of personal preference, based off of fact, like what would you pick as the 4 on a Mount Rushmore of footwear, basketball footwear? And
I'd love to read many arguments as to why.
Oh, if you want to be detailed and explain, that's what I'm saying, because like that's you can't leave off the Chuck Taylor. If anything, I guess that's where I would bump the Superstar, because it only brought one thing to the table.
That's what I was thinking. But we're running out of time, so.
Well, hold on. Let me think about it for a second. Yes.
But I mean, that's a pivotal thing, and it is still something that is used across the board.
I know. Nike straight ripped it and put it on the blazer.
So it is a very important.
Right.
And traction is the base of your shoe in all footwear. You literally just gave this argument in like yesterday or 2 days or something ago's video.
I know. I'm me.
Okay, well, this battery's about to die and that one's about to run out of data, so wrap it up.
Well, goddamn. How's a man supposed to answer the question of the day if you won't let him?
You did answer it.
No, because now I'm considering bumping the Superstar. Would I put the Shack Attack in its place? I mean, it has the pump.
So now he's Thomas Jefferson?
No. Sorry. Keep the Shack Attack at 3rd. Put the Air Force 1 at 2.
Okay.
Because air.
Okay.
Okay. That blew Nike up, dude. Like, seriously. It took a little bit, but like, literally.
Are you now putting the Jordan 1 in number 4?
I don't even know if I could put that on the list because there's only 4 slots.
I know.
So if I could put the Air Force 1 and the Jordan 1 together?
No.
Why?
Because they're 2 different shoes.
No.
Yes.
They almost look the same.
Some could throw the Dunk in there then too.
No airs in the Dunk. No.
Wrap it up. It's literally going to turn off.
No, I'm not done yet. Converse, Chuck Taylor. Because the Puma Suede is technically the first signature shoe, even though the Chuck Taylor was, but you know, there was other models of it. But anyways, Chuck Taylor, Air Force 1, Air Jordan 1 together.
No.
Yes.
No.
I'm breaking the rules.
No.
I created this channel. It's happening. The Shack Attack, because of the reasons that I stated before. And then the next one, see, that's the thing. Like, where do you go from there? Is it the Adapt BB? Hey,
no.
Auto lacing basketball shoes, dude. That's some future shit. Man, this is a hard question.
Original list better.
This is a hard question.
You literally have less than 20 seconds.
Okay, we've got to go apparently. So thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. Feel free to argue with each other down below because she's not even a sneakerhead. She's giving me shit. And then, if you can, let me know if you're interested in copping a pair of these down below in the comment section. I'd love to hear from you guys. We'll catch you on the next one. So until then, y'all have a good one. I didn't even fumble any words. Did
that one turned off.
Really? So I was just talking to nothing?
This one's working. Say bye. Wave.
I was just talking to nobody?
Toodaloo.